So this week's Sunday snippet, I'm going to have a little look at using the clone stamp. I don't know if you've ever used it before or have, but not necessarily successfully. So I thought I'd just have a little look. So you'll find the clone stamp down here. Now we're actually going to use the clone stamp tool, not the pattern stamp tool, which is the other one that is there. I don't use it very often, but it is there for various other things that I'm just not going to get into today because it's just a quick little snippet. So what I want to do is I'm going to come through here. Now I prefer to have mine aligned. This is personal choice. That just means that wherever I mark, it's always going to be aligned with that when I move through an image. So there's a couple of different things along here. So you've got the size of your brush, because we are still doing a brush, so you can make that bigger or smaller. The opacity and the flow. Depending on what you're doing, you would change these so you can work in smaller batches, like sort of areas, and not quite so much, but we'll get into that in a minute. And you will also generally be working on the current layer and below. Now if you work on a new layer, you would need to have current and below selected, otherwise you would only be trying to clone from a blank layer, which will not work. So what we're going to do is I've got this little image here of Kendall, and I'm going to go through and making my brush a little bit smaller. I'm going to do a little bit of a cleanup on her face. Now I'm going to drop my flow down to about 50% and just using the Alt or Option if you're on a Mac and clicking just next to it, and I'm just going to cover up just that little mark that's on her lip. I can also dropping my flow down to 20, so you can use the numbers on your keypad to put you through. So you can 2 for 20%, 3 for 30%, etc. And just sampling, so just, oops, that one didn't work so well, Control Z to undo. So just clicking an area near where I'm working, and as you can see, those last two, shh, that's my dog. Oi! Just going to undo those last ones. So that's just doing a little bit of a cleanup on her face. Sometimes if you drop down to a really low opacity, you can diminish certain amounts of fine lines and wrinkles as well. And then you've got hair and things like that, which I would generally tend to use the healing brush for. But anyway, so I'm going to go back up to 100% and zoom out a little bit. Now I'm finding this particular little twig here a bit distracting, so if I click just next to it, I can come through, making sure your brush is hard, sorry, isn't hard I should say, and just selecting an area nearby. Even drop my opacity a little bit more. Using the clone stamp. Now I find that there was a bit of bracken or something in my shot as well. I'm finding that just a little bit distracting as well. So I'm just going to come in And keep sampling areas when you move, because if you are doing the same area, it looks like it's been clone stamped from the same area and it looks a bit fake. So just keep moving it around, especially when you've got something that's a bit distracting as well. Something like that, you can come in and this is quite an abstract background with all the plants and that. I actually find that this up here is a bit distracting too, so I'm just going to sample in that area that's quite dark and get rid of that as well. So that's using the clone stamp tool, and that's it for today's little Sunday snippet. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.